uh, I was able to speak right before I got on here, but now I'm having some difficulty. Um, this is Dr. Mia Luth. It is 11:56 on March 3rd, 2026, and I will share just medical. I have my arm up like this because uh, uh, I could have injured myself in my sleep. This happens sometimes, but I have a doctor, I have an orthopedic surgeon, and I've made an appointment because I've had bursitis before, and I've had a couple other things along the way in life, but it seems like my right shoulder, it just feels like somebody stuck a knife in there and I can't get it out. So it could indicate impingement, but like when I do this, I can get my arm up. It takes a little bit, but so I mean it may be impinged, but it's not clicking. So I'll probably have to get a X-ray or something. Who knows? Most likely another X-ray. And around here where I live, X-rays are behind 5 to 15 days. So I think the universe, and I know there's going to be people who want to say it's not the universe, it's God. All right, great. But I'm going to say the universe has a way of helping you understand patience. Because if you don't, you quite literally will lose your effing mind. Okay. But not in the good ways. So it's another reason Winnipeg Jets ice hockey. There are people, I mean, this, like, I'm sure I barely get views. I don't check that often, but sometimes I just happen to see when I look, it says how many views. And I don't really do this for views, to be honest, but a couple few is really, it's the right eyes and ears. And some of them are people who I just I need to say what I'm going to say, and at least in the U.S. I'm allowed to do that as long as it's not completely obnoxious, like tearing somebody down because they're different or something. But when it comes to the Winnipeg Jets, I mean, there are times when I don't stay quiet about ice hockey, and so I know that there are people, fans, and people who are or have been associated with the Washington Capitals who know this. There are fans and people who are or have been associated with the uh, Tampa Bay Lightning who know this. And anybody who knows anything and spends time nerding out on NHL hockey goalies got to know this, including hockey goalies. Uh, I can't share this on X. Yes, I got hacked, and I knew something was up because maybe a couple weeks ago I saw a notice that said attempted login at such and such time on an iPhone. Well, I don't have an iPhone, so I kept an eye on things, and yeah, apparently this Daddy Ranky has done this with other accounts. One who I follow, and then as soon as I reported it and asked what I should do about it with X, I get a notice that says my account's been suspended for inauthentic behaviors. Now, it could be that people don't like the truth or don't appreciate when other people want to try and communicate with them on X. And what I'm going to say, it could be both. I mean, it got hacked, I know. And just give it back before I have to bring out the big guns because I'm too old and tired to play games. And just so you know, I'm gonna this does relate to Winnipeg Jets ice hockey in a way, but just so everybody knows, okay, actual real martial artists know this one fact. You learn it so that you never have to use it. So how about I just get my X account back? X. Okay. I can understand why some Winnipeg Jets related fans and and lifers and faithful might want to be trying to shut me down or not listening or trying or right. The thing of it is that it's quite literally true that the NHL uh, put in place the lottery draft. Sorry, the draft lottery. I know I do that. It's like a weird form of dyslexia. Dyslexia. I will say things like, nowadays it's not as common, but go to the bank and get my cash checked instead of check cash, which reminds me of some things. Anyway, um, I've done multiple searches using AI, not using AI, a couple different search engines, and so what I'm going to do, what I'm doing now is on my tablet, I'm looking up how does the National Hockey League feel about tanking? Okay, so the question was how does the Winnipeg Jets feel about tankings? It says, okay, I can't use my right arm, so I'm trying to figure out how to maneuver with one arm. But it says, oops, it says, well, you saw it. It says the NHL opposes people public tanking. Okay, and the league acknowledges the temptation by implementing a weighted draft lottery to reduce the benefits of losing, aiming to discourage building a weak roster for better draft picks. Because some teams actually have done this, and Well, I know the Winnipeg Jets have personnel who've openly admitted to doing it. And there's some question about a few other, like the Islanders. While players rarely try to lose, organizations often structure rosters, trade veterans at the deadlines, and focus on rebuilding, which is widely seen as a form of tanking. To discourage losing, the NHL implemented a lottery system where the last place team is no longer guaranteed first overall pick and can draft no lower than third. Some view tanking as a necessary strategy for rebuild. Okay, the problem is that you're not above human law. And right, I mean, there's some teams who do prioritize integrity. And it's hard to get highly competitive people to lose on purpose. And the but in the United States, though, okay, a professional team who purposefully makes moves that intentionally builds a weak team and manipulates personnel for the purpose of losing. It is actually illegal in the United States of America. I mean, Gary Bettman needs to understand, well, yes, it does happen. I mean, I waited a very long time to get proof. And considering how much I know about some of the people involved with the National Hockey League, it was very hard for me to believe that anybody could convince an entire team of competitors to lose on purpose. However, when the general manager gets convinced that not making moves is better for the team's future, and therefore building a stronger roster and giving the team a chance to win as much as possible in any regular season, see, there are legal definitions. Now, if there aren't specific laws against it in Canada, but I gotta tell you, I don't have to look too far. Okay? There are specific human laws. This is an LLC. In the US, they're LLCs. Okay? Now, they might run by their own set of policies, but they still have to be within the general human law understanding. And they have to follow US laws and Canadian laws. So, as much as people want to go with embrace the tank, and then when I ask, I'm told, oh, well, it's this, this, and this. Oh, okay, no. But what some people actually do think on some of the chats related to the Winnipeg Jets is some people still think that coming in last get you first overall. Okay. And that is not the case anymore. That has changed. Okay. That changed. So those people who are still thinking that it's the way it was when it used to be, that the last place team got first pick overall, but they don't anymore. And if you get into the finer details of legalities, if there were players or coaches who could bring forth proof that the GM or the upper decks put pressure on them or made decisions to, not make moves that were obvious and available, and did other things in accumulation, which made that team right uncompetitive in the National Hockey League markets, to the point where they lose enough games to come in 32nd, 31st, 30th. Okay. Right. Like the NHLPA could actually sue, depending on how you're looking at it. I mean, there's a lot of finer points. But tanking because you don't want to be in the mushy middle, or your team is having one of those years where injuries at the beginning, Olympic year. I mean, there were teams that were projected at the beginning by the so-called experts and analysts to, make the playoffs, so on and so forth, or not make the playoffs. And at this point in the season, it turns out that some of those prognostications were incorrect. Okay, the Avalanche can be beat, and the Canucks can win. Now, if you don't want a fair and competitive hockey league, and you want to see who can lose the best, then I disagree with you wholly and fully. And I certainly would say to ticket holders, season ticket holders, think about this now. You're going to use the future of the team as an excuse to see a hockey team lose as a spectacle, because you don't know how to evaluate the people in the farm team, and you don't have the information that the GMs have. Okay, in the United States, tanking is quite literally illegal, and there are basketball teams, and there's a football team Yes, who have paid consequences for it. None of you are above human law, is what I'm saying. And the NHL publicly opposes this. Why? Because it acknowledges the temptation. He acknowledges the temptation. I know that a franchise or two has done it, but that was before the um, draft lottery. Okay, the National Hockey League should be a fully competitive league, and there are teams who end up last. A lot of times, it's because injuries, or it could be a change in management. It could be any number of things. And there are times nowadays in the National Hockey League where teams get predicted of making the playoffs at the beginning of the year. But that is not the case. So, welcome to the National Hockey League in the year 2026. I disagree that it's okay to tank. And there are laws in the United States that could actually take down an entire pro sports franchise. And there are some basketball teams that have come this close. And in one case, might still take down an entire pro basketball team in the United States. All right. Anyway, competitive ice hockey. That's what I want to see. I'm pretty sure that that's what most of the players would like to be. Hi there. My voice is going. Good, good, good evening to you too. Anyway, so the Jets did finally win today, which is good. We needed the 2 points. Um, I, I was really hoping that they would get that extra point against the Sharks, because beating the Sharks, Pacific Division, I mean, that would hop us over the Sharks for a short period of time anyway, and get us closer to Seattle. So if if there's still a small percentage chance that they could be in the playoffs, okay, but the runway is like that, getting shorter. So I'm okay. We don't make the playoffs. And there are some guys who are on the Winnipeg, or on the Moose, the farm team, who are, if they weren't ready before, they're much closer to ready now. And, there are teams like Colorado who are slipping a little, because Colorado is not blazing like they were at the beginning of the season. The Central Division at this point, I mean, that's a tough go. It's almost impossible, but not entirely. So, okay, you want to go like that, fine, right? But I'm the kind of hockey fan that understands the National Hockey League and the ebbs and flows and the cycles and the no-nos and why things have changed over the years. I mean, I've been through a strike in the National Hockey League. I've been through saving 2 franchises with the National Hockey League. I've been through 2 decades of not so great ice hockey with the franchise until they finally started attracting, um, you know, better players. And I just want to remind the Jets fans, okay, look, I mean, I got all day long patience. What's my favorite football team? You mean like American or uh, European? Because if it's American, I'm not. I'm a hockey fan, and I don't have a favorite American football team. I'm happy for the Ravens if they win because I know a lot of Ravens fans. So if it's European football, I'm uh, Manchester United all the way. So, but I'm mainly an ice hockey fan. I mean, the Jets fans, you do need to listen to some reason. Okay, if that became a viable strategy to tank on purpose and make moves, then we would quite literally have a league that means 15 teams are going to be trying to figure out who can play the worst. I don't think anybody wants to watch that kind of ice hockey. I know I don't. That can ruin careers. Guys who are trying to be scouted and seen and playing, the best hockey possible, given the franchise, the value. This is why I I would never want to be a GM. If I owned a franchise and I was the only one available, like I would have like by committee people doing the GM job until the right GM could be found. But uh, trying to look at human beings and trying to put a value on them, it is. I'm not the biggest fan of that. Okay, but I understand how that works, and being on teams that lose, you quite literally. I mean, I've asked other Jets fans this, like, so basically, what you're saying without saying it is losing on purpose. And some will answer. But on the other hand, they keep getting in chats and they keep saying, embrace the tank. And they keep saying, we want the good draft pick. Well, what you're saying without saying it is, we want you to lose so that we can get a top 3 draft pick. I mean, how else do you expect to get into that position unless you purposefully and intentionally try to get there? So, Team Tank. The future of the club may be playing on another NHL team somewhere. The future of the club are guys who are on the team right now who are signed. The future of the club are guys who are playing with the Winnipeg Moose, the AHL affiliate, right now. Many of you are not trained, nor do you have jobs that evaluate human potential. Many of you have not, done the work of a pro or amateur scout. Many of you don't understand intangibles in ice hockey, and here's one. I've said this before. The fact that Jonathan Toews, who is a future Hall of Famer, by the way, be doubtless of that, everyone. Come on. Just his presence in the room is exciting for some of the players, especially some of the players who come up from the Moose and take a look around. Cole Perfetti and other guys in that locker room are learning things from a three-time Cup winner who's a future Hall of Famer. That helps the future of the team. Losing on purpose does not. So I vehemently oppose your thinking and what that can do to the mental health of your fans and the players and the coaches is highly damaging. And like I said, are the Winnipeg Jets so special that they're the only ones who are allowed to come in last place, tankers? Like, I know I get ignored a lot. And there goes retracted messages. I know. You just read the, you know. So this is what I'm saying is that all these things I'm saying are true in real life. And those of us who've been National Hockey League fans and lifers and students of the game for decades will tell you, yeah, the FBI is watching. All right. Hey, hey, FBI. Why do all this? Why is it all the freaking romance scammers seem to like contacting me? It's fun. Not really. Not really though. Anyway, um, tanking NHL tankers. I guarantee you, in the U.S., it is illegal. Okay, the NHL has policies against it, and that's what the um, lottery draft is for. But for mental health, okay, these are things you may not see with your own two eyes, but you know there are players who will have trouble playing on a continuously losing team. And it could cause depression. It could cause players who play very well to lose their career, uh, lose their ability to be competitive in a competitive market. I mean, the overreaching, issues here are more than just one. But Jonathan Toews being in the room itself, okay, is a positive for this franchise. And I realize some people think that people over 30 just go curl up and die and become useless. But I disagree with you. I mean, Jaromir Jagr is still at it. He's just not still at it in the NHL. Sidney Crosby still, wanted on Team Canada. There are players also who got drafted like 78th who have really good, solid, consistent full NHL careers. And some of the goalies in the NHL, if you were even if you tried to bribe some of them to just let a soft one go in, like they might actually just corner you in a dark alley and beat the snot out of you for asking. Okay, it is absolutely illegal in the U.S. to do that. The NHL does not at all think that it is viable, and you could be ruining the careers of many teams. But I don't understand. Do the Jets or anyone else, is your team the only special team in the NHL who's allowed to come in 32nd place so you can get first pick overall? Which there are some people older than, I'm over 50. So maybe a little older than me who are still under the impression that coming in dead last in the National Hockey League gets you first pick in the draft. That's not true. Okay? I'm not going to shut up about it because maybe that's why Canada. Hi, Canada. I love ice hockey. I'm an ice hockey lifer, even though. Oh crap! Hold on. I gotta switch positions. I'm always injured. Everybody. Yeah, I know. Probably my rotator cuff. I don't know. I'd see the orthopedist on Friday. I have medical conditions, and they cause me things like vertigo and other things, and there's similar to Parkinson's, so I can get injured in my sleep. it's been like that for quite a while. Anyway, I mean, like, if this is something that Canadians push, then maybe that's why Canadian teams for decades have not won a Stanley Cup. And maybe Canadian franchises should take a good hard look at how they do things, because tanking on purpose for the future of the club is wrecking the club in the now. Other teams then should be allowed. So then, like I said, you want to go the tanking variety, okay? Well, then that means there's 15 other teams who are then allowed to barely play ice hockey. I mean, you know how hard it's going to be to come in 32nd place if everybody is doing the tank? It's so wrong. I don't care if people try and shut me down. Okay? I've seen a lot of it on chats. I decided to speak up this season. I also don't know how long I'm going to live. I mean, geez, I'm all kinds of beat up and every other kind of thing. I got a medical condition. Me hitting the age of 70 is, shit, hang on. I need to change position. I got to have my hand up here because it's the only way my shoulder doesn't hurt. My life's kind of a pile of crap, people. Okay? And a lot of you would know a hard time if it walked up to you and punched you in the face. I got to be honest. So you should take this as like silver lining of however bad day you're having right now. Right. Anyway, Winnipeg Jets, ice hockey. Okay. I want them to stay as competitive as they can be through all 82 games. Okay. Now there are people who have improved. Like from beginning of the season to now, Velarde definitely. Like if I were to give out awards right now, most improved. Okay. There are some, but like in certain categories, Velarde most improved in puck protecting and also playing away from the puck. He's gotten better with the puck, and he's gotten better away from the puck. Do any of you know what playing away from the puck means? Okay, like, and this is today's NHL. Okay, you can't guarantee it could be 5-0 at the beginning of the third, and there quite literally have been some teams who have won. The team that was at 0, okay, ended up winning either in regulation or overtime. There are a lot of fake Monday morning quarterback backseat driving general managers making a lot of comments that aren't really that NHL savvy. No, Winnipeg Jets, you just keep trying to put the best hockey you can on ice, and you keep taking it game by game, and you keep staying positive, and you keep looking to improving, all of you, or at least playing at your solid best. I mean, people use the word ridiculous and all kinds of other stuff, and it's just like, okay, but sometimes it's not ridiculous having certain guys on a team because you don't understand intangibles. Sometimes a guy, he may be like, a plain Joe, and he's not considered marquee, and he puts, some things together in whatever position. But that guy shows up like 10 minutes early every time he needs to be somewhere team related. And that guy has an intuition about all the guys he's playing with in the room and can tell when some of them are feeling discouraged, and is one of those guys that lifts up the spirits of a room. There are lots of intangibles that you can't always see with your eyes. You cannot tell when a team has won until the end of game final horn has been blown. This is the National Hockey League in the year 2026. Some of you gave up on your ice hockey team in November. Okay. And anybody who has said along the way that they're not going to make the playoffs, I mean, I'm talking like from December to now. Well, there's less chance, of course. I mean, this much runway. I mean, they're quite literally going to have to put together. They're going to have to seize every freaking opportunity and play the best kind of responsible defense. Like, defensive responsibility is everybody's job. Okay. Now, I'm not telling the natural goal scorers that you have to play defense. I'm saying get better with keeping the puck. Make sure you're not turning it over at any point in time. be good puck protectors, right? Be, you know, or 5 insurance goals. Okay? I mean, when you have the puck, the other team doesn't. All right? Like, I know some of these guys are contributing in ways that don't get talked about a lot in the Winnipeg press in general. But tanking is what quitters and losers do. And if 3 teams do it out of 15, I mean, quite literally, that's what will become this league. There will be 15 teams who barely show up to a game. And it'll decrease their value. And you'll all be sitting there crying in your seats because the hockey is so bad, you can't stand it anymore. So, yes, I disagree with you. And I hope the FBI is watching. You know, my ex account, right? If you're watching, they, like, I know somebody hacked it, but also, if you look at all the accounts who follow me, I mean, I got so many people who claim to be Jeremy Renner. I got so many people who claim to be, Elon Musk. I got romance scammers, and some of them that use the same script. I'm trying to say, like, right. And apparently, a whole bunch of people in the National Hockey League think they're above human law. I disagree. I mean, quite literally, I do. Right? I'm like, what? The FBI is watching. Oh, good. Okay. I'm also a military family in the United States of America, and all of mine are dead. And I'm going to be 54 next week. It's another reason I'm doing this because I want to say what I want to say. And this is the United States of America. And I'm allowed to do that. And, right, this will never be monetized. And there are people still alive. And I'm finding out more and more people I either know or refer to. Like, there are a lot of people I know passed away. And, right, like, it's just like, oh, crap, get online and I find out, you know, it gets a little more depressing as one gets older. My entire family's deceased. And I love you, Canada. I mean, just Canada's very beautiful in its way. And I usually get along with Canadians and a lot of Canadian music. And I used to be outdoors woman. So camping and outdoorsy stuff, I would meet Canadians all along the way, and especially ice hockey lovers. But I mean, if this truly has been the mentality the whole time, maybe you guys now know the reason why the National Hockey League Stanley Cup has been in the hands of the United States for decades. Anyway, I'm also symptom tracking. Clearly, my voice. I live a little more podunk and bumpkin style, and in the United States, the rural hospitals need fucking help, man. Okay, I know why some people are dying in this nation, and it's poorly trained, haphazard individuals who somehow got creds and qualifications to take care of people. And it's becoming more and more abundantly clear to me that there are a lot of people who have probably died from medical mistakes and lack of proper resources. And after Obamacare, after that all came, I cannot tell you guys. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, sure, I'll talk to the politicians. Like, I know what kind of language they like. I've done it before. I'll do it again. I got no issue. Uh, Constituents in the United States are quite literally being attacked online, and some of that is domestic terrorism, and some of that is rape, foreign. Of the most vulnerable, which are younger children and the elders. Okay, but I got so many wrong answers when talking to medical people because I was already, having to spend a lot of time in hospitals, doctors, clinics, tests. All right. It took way too long, through no fault of my own, to get the diagnosis of fundamental, or sorry, um, neurological disorder. Yes, that's right. I did say it right. I did. And I've been misdiagnosed several times. A lot of things that people say I need aren't covered by insurance. Even though I was a patient of certain people, because I hadn't seen them in 3 years here at this hospital, I got to start all over again. As a new patient, and some of them are booked until like November, December. Like when all that first started getting rolled out, I got told all kinds of things. I got told something that if I'd have done it, okay, on the phone via a nurse who apparently was, you know, the head nurse of this medical practice, if I'd have done it, it would have killed me. A lot of people need to understand, yes, but the internet is also used for trafficking little children too. It just is. Welcome. Welcome to the world. I'm gonna have to boop, 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 bust some bubbles. Boop, boop. Okay? Internet safety. Uh, you know, I mean, I can understand why some might want to retaliate or attack me. Okay, fine. It's not going to make one hairy bit of difference. If the FBI is watching, yes. Um, it might have been the email Science Girl 99 Prodigy, or uh, hang on, First Love Animal Services at or Mia at firstloveanimalservices.com. I did do DEA is solid, and I did go through the process of getting a national security clearance. And if anybody has issues with me being concerned about gun safety, I don't care. Go tell it on the mountain. Canada, I'm a friendly. Okay? And maybe it's a good idea to take a good look at how everything happens in the National Hockey League, the way you guys do things. Because apparently it's just commonplace in Canada that everybody expects the air quote ethical tank or the like what? To the Winnipeg Jets. Go Jets. Okay? Right? I can't second guess a GM because I had no information. Plus, if you did your research, you would know that the National Hockey League changed up some things in September that caught a lot of the GMs off guard. And they put something in place early, which meant some of the planning they had done went straight out the fucking window. Okay? I'm very glad that the vast majority of people talking about Winnipeg Jets ice hockey online are not A, the coach, or B, the GM. Season ticket holders, you know what you want? You want to watch competitive ice hockey. Trades could happen in the summertime that gets like 3 different draft picks. But that's the future. I mean, if you guys are betting, here's the other thing. If bookies find out that there's a team doing the tank, oh, that opens up a whole nother can of worms. Doesn't it? All right. I said what I had to say. I'm not doing very well. My health took a turn for the worst. I really do hope the FBI is watching. I don't have anything to hide from the U.S. government. And I didn't really appreciate the Social Security Administration harassing me for what turns out to be a small amount of money. And by the way, that got stolen too, which, yes, directly implicates some other people. And if you're military in the United States or your military family, yes, Law Cats, and it may have changed its name, but no, go the other direction. That's a big no. They're civilians. They don't fucking get it. Military people and their families, at least in the US, go through crap that civilians and their families don't. Fact. My family's dead. I'm 53, almost 54. I didn't kill them. I can't go live at my mom's house because I'm sick. I can't ask aunts and uncles to take turns helping to take care of me. I don't have a proper caregiver. And no one's allowed to push any kind of religion on me in this country. There are too many dumbasses doing highly illegal bullshit online. Kids, which is why parents, wake up. Don't just worry about your kids online. Worry about your elders online too. It's a tough ask. I know. Boomers. Maybe Generation X. Okay. But I grew up listening to the Great Generation and the silent. I got raised by the Silent Generation. And I can assure the Silent Generation, the generation before the Boomers, you guys were not silent to me. I was listening to you. And some of you had little faith in youth, and you were wrong. But anyway, go Jets. Take care. Seriously.